Good evening. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. It is Tuesday night, July 25th at 7:04 in the city center of Olivette in the council chambers at 1140 Dealman Road in Olivette, Missouri. Roll call, please.
Mayor Weil,
Here.
Chairman Pro Tem Missy Waldman,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Carl,
Here.
Councilmember Knox.
Here.
Okay, under no, next item, please.
Communications, we have no written communications.
Okay, we have one thing that we'd like to do at this time, and I'd like to call up Denise Mandel to the podium.
Oh, my God.
Carlos just told me I was in trouble. Oh, so she was just told she was in trouble. But for those of you that don't know, Denise is going to be retiring and her last day in the office is Friday, April, my brain, Friday, August 4th. But tonight is her final meeting with City Council. So we would like to present this proclamation to you. There's a smudge under my name, so I promise I'll re-sign it. And there's refreshments at the end of the meeting for everybody. So the proclamation reads, don't read it.
I'm not reading.
Don't cry.
My glasses right there.
Okay,
But I will cry.
okay. We'd like to, is everybody on Zoom that's supposed to be?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'd like to recognize the contributions of Denise Mandel. Whereas we are here today to express our appreciation to Denise Mandel and honor her for her career with the city of Olivette. And whereas Denise Mandel started the city of Olivette as a temporary employee in March of 2013 during a time of transition. And whereas Denise's experience in municipal government, specifically in the area of human resources, made her an immediate asset to the city. And whereas the city moved with bureaucratic speed to hire Denise for the new position of Human Resources Manager, tasked with centralizing hiring, performance and reviews, benefits, and employment policies of the city of Olivette. Whereas in this capacity, Denise has assisted in the reorganization of several city departments and worked to increase the professionalism of positions within the city. And whereas over her years of service, Denise has assisted numerous employees to successfully navigate the complex and confusing healthcare and insurance systems fearlessly and at times ferociously, communicating with insurance companies and medical offices. And whereas in addition to her HR responsibilities, Denise has served as acting city clerk, and in this role has ensured that council meetings and actions are accurately documented and filed, and council elections meet all state requirements. And whereas over 10 years, Denise has routinely stepped forward to assist with an assortment of tasks outside her position, attending and participating in city-sponsored events, completing tasks both mundane and unusual, overseeing registration at the annual turkey trot, and serving as the official City of Olivette hugger. And whereas Denise has consistently worked to better serve the residents and employees and elected officials of the city of Olivette. Therefore, we celebrate Denise's contributions to the city of Olivette and congratulate her on her well-deserved retirement. I'm still in denial. In witness whereof I, Maxine Wild, Mayor of the City of Olivette, on behalf of the City Council, wish Denise good health and happiness in retirement. Presented this 25th day of July, 2023. I would like to invite my fellow council members to come down to take a picture with Denise by the proclamation and to make comments as well from themselves.
Don't let Carlos do it.
I won't be as long as the previous individual that retired. But Denise Mandel, you've been an amazing employee for the city of Olivet. You are loved. Where is she?
Whoever you are.
You are loved and you will be missed. I expect to see you at the holiday parties. That's the favorite part of getting everybody together. You served the city with honor and dignity. Enjoy your retirement, Denise.
Thank you.
Love you.
I didn't have anything written down, so I'll just speak from the heart. You've always been one of those people that made me feel comfortable. Not that everyone else doesn't, but when I came in, you would always say, "Hey, Sid," you'd give me a hug. And it was one of those natural, I like you kind of things. It makes a person feel good and it matters. I'm going to miss you like money. So I hope that you come back and see us. I'm not going to say any more because I'm not going to cry.
You're off the bat. Okay.
Well, I didn't directly prepare anything either, but I have known Denise, I think, since she started. I think she has done an amazing job during her career here. She has participated in many things outside her direct responsibility, which has made the city a much better place. So I really appreciate it. I, like everyone else, don't want her to retire. But I guess I can't complain because I'm there too. So anyway, I wish you the best. I certainly, like everyone else, hope we see you often. Come by and say hello. And we look forward to the days you're coming to visit us. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to pick up where Sydney left off. Ike used to come in all the time. I never got a hug, but I always got candy.
And still do.
And still do. Remember that. Okay. I want to say thank you for all you've done, not for just the city council and the police department, but for the entire city. And we appreciate all your hard work, and you're always here. And sometimes we didn't agree with you, but you were always right. And we want to thank you for your service. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, you gotta say
There's
something.
one more person that's going to say a few words if Darren will bring her over on Zoom.
Oh, jeez. No crying.
It's not your office. Buck up, Buttercup.
She's still drinking.
Hi. Hi, Barb. Can you guys hear me okay?
You bet.
All right. So Denise, congratulations. I am just absolutely thrilled for you. HR is one of those funny things in that if everything's going okay, it's invisible, right? You don't know when people are getting hired, when paychecks are getting made, when benefits are flowing. Nobody thinks that, oh, somebody's making that work. People think about when the hiring process, they think about that the call to hire the person, but you are the person who made the multiple calls for all the people who interviewed and didn't get hired. You were the person who, talked to the people who not only who got the promotion, but who didn't get the promotion. And so it's a tough job, and you've done it well. You've done it exceedingly well. And I think that you are leaving the city of Olivet in a better place than when you found it. And I think there's no more that anyone can really ask for of an employee than, and that we can only ask of ourselves, is to look back and say, yeah, it's better. And I helped do that. And you did that in spite of those two clowns sitting next to you over there, hi Bruce, hi Carlos. So so I just want to tell you that Tuesday nights are much better on this side of the dais. And so here's to you.
Thank you, Barb. Thanks, Barb.
You're welcome.
We're gonna go on to item number 3 in a minute. Let's all go back to our seats. Like I said earlier, there will be refreshments at the end. So Caitlin, get comfortable and stay for cupcakes. Okay, moving on to next item, please.
Item number 3, city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Darren Mann, and I'm the interim city manager. And let me share the screen here. I have a short city manager report tonight, if I can find it. There we go. So upcoming events, Coffee with the Mayor, we're pretty light in August thus far. Coffee with the Mayor is August 9th, Wednesday, and it is at 8:45 here at the city center. Our guest will be our new city manager, Jennifer Yackley. And so come and meet her. It'll be one of the first public appearances we'll see. And the other thing coming up before that is on August 1st is the opening for the registration for the 10th annual Turkey Trot. So be the first to register. News around town, the 7/1, our July 1st storm cleanup continues. Reminder for everyone to please be patient with the process and only, in addition, only put out storm damaged trees, no larger than 6 inches in diameter, no trash, no debris, no railroad ties, anything that could be put in yard waste collection, please put it in your yard waste for your weekly pickup. Don't park near the piles. And this cleanup process is not for debris created by a tree contractor. So if you have somebody clean the trees, make sure they take it away with them. Again, please exercise patience with our employees. This is a long and grueling process. It's very hot out and it's can be incredibly dangerous and scratchy. And it's a meticulous process. Aside from that, where are we at with the process? 2 weeks ago, we talked about anticipating 600 to 700 cubic yards of tree waste. Now this has grown to a little over 1,000 cubic yards. I did a little math, and it would fill this entire room and most of the lobby of what we think would have to be. And alone, that doesn't seem like a whole lot when you look at how much room a tree takes. But that's after it's been smushed down, packed in. This is the number of the cubic yards of dumpsters. And so this is what we'll be talking about. You know, that right there would fit in this room, but that would fit what 50-yard dumpster roughly, Bruce?
Yeah, we take in that much a day and it goes out a day.
So
what's in the back is
that gets smushed down, strategically placed so that we can maximize the haul of those dumpsters in the time of everybody. So we have to touch everything twice at the street. We put it to use the backhoe or the shovels or hands to put it inside of that truck, and then once again have to touch it again to put it in those dumpsters. So it is a longer process, and I'm sure anyone would take, but please be patient and please be respectful for the work the city's doing for this and not putting out additional stuff. Other things, paving in India Meadows has started and is continuing. This is following the water main replacement path. And this, once again, remind folks, is leveraging of funds from Missouri American Water. We would have got about half of that right there, roughly what we're seeing on that street. You'd have got about half of that done during that replacement. And the other half we could have left for a future period. Hopefully it ends up looking nice when you do that. So we again leverage those funds to redo those entire streets. Some other pictures there, and a reminder that the paving on Chantel and Olivette is expected to be the week of August 7th, which is not next week, but the week following. So good news there. And of the folks there in Indian Meadows had to go through that replacement with that big rut in the road and then through the trees. And now the paving and hopefully the paint is almost over and have a nice street to be done and nice, safe, clean drinking water. With that, other news around town, event and membership sales are open for 5 Oaks on Worston, the new community center. So check that out. You do have to come into City Hall here to do that membership. But you can see the rates that are there. Feel free to call up here if you have any questions on any of those rate groups or anything like that. If we go into the staff reports, a couple of highlights I picked out there. Stacy Starry Nights had over 45 attendees. You can see someone there taking a look through one of the bigger telescopes. Soccer registration, over 800 participants there. Camping's coming to a close with an average of 41 participants per week. And then some of the other kind of smaller events that we've had but repeated, the Sweet Reads mobile library, over 70 children visited with over 135 items checked out. 5 Oaks hiring is underway as we speak, so check out the hiring, the listings for those jobs. And then storm cleanup is not limited to those streets. The parks have lots of trees and has required a lot of work and a lot of time and money spent cleaning up the debris in the parks there too. So thanks for the Public Works and the Parks crews for here about a month out, still continuing to pick up from that event. Inside the staff report for the Planning and Community Development Department is an update, an engagement update that was kind of has some of the results of the engagement efforts thus far for the comprehensive plan. I won't go into any of the details there, but if you do go into the staff reports there, it's a really good insight into our community. Those engagement updates will go into the plan and the draft itself that we're going to be seeing soon. And so it is very good. In the fire department, we're happy to say that we have 6 swift water rescue technicians now on staff as of the end of June, and that's up from 1 a year prior, which at the end of July is when the flooding that hit University City, that we would now have potentially up to 2 to 3 on the crew at a time there, with fully staffed with the ropes and equipment there. And that was a council initiative that came out of this as requested by the fire department. And we've spent significant time and money in order to be prepared for another event like that. Upcoming meetings, a full August, the meetings themselves, the first, second and fourth Tuesdays are the council meetings. Economic Development Commission there at the end on August, the last Monday in August. A pension board meeting, which is held quarterly, is next Thursday. And if you're really in for a nice treat at night, you can stay and go eat dinner and then come back at 7 o'clock and do a nice Planning and Community Design Commission meeting. From there, Parks and Rec Commission on the regular Wednesday meeting, and another Planning and Community Design Commission on August 17th. That would conclude my report for tonight. If any questions, more than happy to entertain those.
Councilmember Knox. Okay, and I would like to also note that tonight will be our interim city manager's final meeting as the interim, but he's not done yet.
Nope.
So we're grateful for everything you've done, Darren. Thank you so very much. And the one thing I thought you would have stood up and cheered was, and on August 7th, Jennifer Yackley starts as the new city manager.
And that's where the real work begins for all of us.
Yes, exactly. Next item, please.
Item number 5, city council reports.
I'll start at this end with Councilmember Knox.
I attended one meeting on July 13th, was the comprehensive plan committee, and like interim city manager said, that report is very interesting and some of the ideas that are coming forth from the community and from the committee. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councilman Chairman Pro Tem Waldman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I could ask a question of my fellow Councilmember Knox. At the previous meeting of the comprehensive plan, folks, it was identified that we were not reaching and getting those that are 35 years of age and younger. Has there been any update that was presented at this meeting that you attended with regard to that effort?
No, there hasn't been, but they are continuing to work on that. And that was brought to our attention that evening.
Okay, thanks much. Thank you very much. That's the biggest thing that I got out from the first reporting from your meeting. I am not attending. I'm being respectful. I've been asked not to attend it, so I'm being respectful of that. I attended the Planning and Community Design Commission meeting of July 20th, 2023. Fellow employee Carlos Trejo always does a wonderful report to the council and to all of the employees of the city. There were various issues that came for conversation, including number 3, Stacy Drive. This is an issue that will be revisited and coming back to the Planning and Community Design Commission. There is concerns about its being and fitting into the neighborhood. They are addressing the residential guidelines and expressed their concerns at the meeting. And the body has asked that the petitioner come back and address the concerns that have been noted within that conversation. RP Exotics LLC has been a special use permit has been forwarded to the city council. In speaking with this gentleman, for those that have expressed concerns about these racing cars, this business is not going to be creating the rev that a previous business did. And the owner of the building assured me that they gave their warning to that entity that was being very loud and obnoxious. So hopefully that will never happen again. 9514 Olive Boulevard, Plant Haven Center tenant space for Great Heart Brewing Company. They have recommended a special use permit come to the council. Great Heart Brewing Company is a microbrewery and restaurant that is seeking to open up in the Plant Haven development. The issue that needs to be addressed in this, and I'm going to put it on the record right now, is that Plant Haven was not built for having a restaurant within its building. And the conversation with regards to where the odor goes, where the grease goes, having been in the restaurant business myself and having somebody else that does commercial restaurants, the concern is how they're going to be dealing with the exhaust and with the system. It's going to be an expense to whoever to get this done right. And I expect the city to make sure it gets done right. It's a great business, but it has to come in and do it right. 595 Dillman Road, the old business was deferred. And at this point in time, hopefully when the new city manager comes on, there will be some exciting new things coming forward to the city and to our residents. And with that, Madam Mayor, that's all I have to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Carl.
I attended the Economic Development Commission meeting yesterday. The meeting basically consisted of a review of the results from the comprehensive plan that we were just talking about. So I won't go into detail there. That was it. I attended no other meetings.
Thank you. Councilmember Clark.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. I attended the Parks and Recreation Commission, and Darren stole a little bit of my thunder. So I'll start with we had nominations and the election of the chairperson, which will be Jim Person, and the vice chairperson going into the next year will be Susan Rich or Sue Rich. When you spoke about the 800 participants with the youth sports for soccer in the fall, one of the things that I want to note is that this time, for the first time, it's actually in collaboration with the Ladue School District, and we will be using some of the fields throughout the district and some of the different elementary schools, which is very exciting to build that partnership. We also, when they talked about Starry Nights and you saw the picture, my understanding is that what that big telescope there was actually one of our residents brought that to share. That's a passion of theirs. And so it's really been, you know, these Starry Nights have turned in not just for, we have residents who have lived here a long time sharing their passions with the younger students, but also these companies that have come in and done it with us. We got an update on all the different parks and on the storm impact. And we talked about with the 5 Oaks on Worcester, some of the contracts that have happened. Les Mills, how do you say it? Les Mills? For the
Les Mills.
Les Mills, okay. I wasn't sure if it was like French. Les Mills for the equipment. And we have been able to contract, this is great news, with Oasis. And the third is that through UHC, we are in conversations for active renewal. For Active Renew, that's kind of like Silver Sneakers, if anyone's heard of that. We also have hired a seasonal horticulturist. His name is Nate. And it's great to have him on board. And currently for 5 Oaks, they're looking for a recreation facility supervisor. We also talked about the different parks openings, and the next one coming up will be at Indian Meadows Park, and that will be on Saturday, August 26th from 10 to noon. It will have cookies and lemonade, and we're going to have some water features there in addition to the new park equipment and activities. And then following that, we're looking to schedule for a Villa Park soft opening, a movie night in October, and we're also looking for another Starry Night coming up at Stacy. In September, we also have the yard sale. We have a soft open, another opening at the Irvside Dog Park. We're actually hoping to have some canine dogs there for people, for the residents to interact with. And then we have the Great Olivette Clean Out, which is a shredding that the Parks and Recs oversees, and that is on October 20th. From 4 to 7, and I don't know the location for that yet. And then our fabulous annual Harvest Festival is on Friday, October 27th from 6 to 8, and there's more details forthcoming about that as well. So we've got all of the different parks. We're trying to get some of the soft openings in before the fall, before the cold, and then for Worcester Parks, we would do that in spring of 2024. So I don't know if anyone has any other questions in regards to any of the reports that were just given.
I would just like clarification.
Yes.
Do we now have a horticulturist and a half?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Maybe a quarter. It's a
okay.
seasonal position.
It's no, they're outside 90% of the time. So we're out of office space. So no, I like that. It's a 1 1/4. No, or a third.
They work like 3 though.
Right. Like, and Nate is passionate about his horticulture. With no further questions, I would like to call the next item, please.
Item number 6, monthly financial report, June 2023.
All right, good evening once again. This is Darren Mann, Finance Director. I'll share my screen again.
Oh, and you can put it down.
Yeah. Tonight we look at a full year up to from July to June financial report, and there's nothing much here to report new from last month. We will kind of see where our audit figures will kind of shake out. There's some adjustments that always happen because of some of the accounting rules, but overall revenues right at expectations, a little above 134,000 above. That was mainly due to a big jolt from that charter utility settlement of 309,000. Without that, we'd probably be we'd be below expectations. The expenditure side, because of the opening of the community center, was delayed. It was expected to be open in December. And then some of the other bigger projects, and then some of the hiring that was approved in July wasn't completed till a little bit later, because we didn't list. We don't have authority to list some of these positions till after the budget is approved. The major factor behind expenditures coming in below expectations by about $865,000. So net favorable of about $1 million for the year. That goes down to our fund balance. And then if you look at that next, the table there, that goes into that reserve policy analysis. Well in compliance there at about almost $5 million in compliance. Some of the individual highlights, the record sales tax collections that we saw through most of the fiscal year 23. It did leave us with a kind of a down June, and that's because the sharing mechanisms applied to the 1% sales tax kicked in quite a bit sooner than earlier. And we're going to see a chart here, the next page in a second, that shows that property tax are right at expectations. And then utility tax collections pleasantly surprised us with a nice plateau toward the end of the year, with very strong natural gas collections coming later in the year. And then again, the remaining categories, they're fairly mixed. I talked about the expenditures. We'll go to the chart. We're looking at the orange line here, and the sharing mechanisms restart every year in January. And you can see hardly any sharing, and this goes for every single one of these years. But we had really good Januaries all the way up till May's, and then our sharing mechanisms kick in. And you can see the June there on a couple of those years match more what a July looks like. And the July is usually lower, and that's when our sharing mechanism usually kicks in. At this point, we're sharing in June, and then most Julys we're sharing about 43% of our collections to the pool or B cities, because our per capita catches up. And we won't go into any more of that. We can go into big talks about the sharing mechanism, but that's why it drops off like that. It's not because of retailers not turning in as much money or not doing as good. It's just because we're sharing more. So other than that, like I said, I don't have a whole lot, and there's no new news here that we haven't talked about since probably February on. It ends about where we expected when we went into our budgeting. And so that's good news. So I'll conclude the report there, and I'm more than happy to entertain any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Mann? Okay, thank you very much. Next item.
Item number 7, quarterly investment report, 2023 quarter
Sure.
2.
I'll keep my hat on, and we'll go into our investment report. Here again, not much to report since we talked 3 months ago. Our 12-month ladder continues to see those maturities and reinvestments at higher rates. We've kept the quarterly 3 months where they kind of sit at the top here, the quarterly $2 to $3 million, which comes in at about 8 to 9 million now, that we have been rolling in that 3 month. And you can see the yields there in the 5%. Kicks off about 30 right now it's about $40,000 a month as we continue to roll these forward, and that's helping out a lot. It helped out a lot for our budgeting for next year, as long as those rates kind of stay high. Toward the bottom of this, you can see the construction bond proceeds. The only update we'd see from 3 months ago is we'll see these start to fall off as the community center nears completion. I doing some rough math with these maturities that we see here, that even now I've renewed one of these, two of these are to the tune of about $1 million to come just in August. But we can get pretty close on our tally, and it's about $200,000, a little over $200,000 in interest earnings by taking advantage of the delay in the project to some point, but also because of those rising interest rates kind of help us out with offset some of those change orders we've seen. So that's all that I would have. I don't anticipate any changes in these activities here and when we talk in the next 3 months. We'll just see those higher rates continue to come on as the lower ones drop off.
Are there any questions?
When do you want to fill the empty ladder?
We will fill that in September when it comes in.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 8, hearing from citizens.
Is there anyone that would like to speak to this evening, that whether they're on Zoom or in the audience? Okay, we'll move on. Next item.
Item number 9, reappointment of municipal court judge.
Mayor, tonight we have a 2-year reappointment of our judge, John Paul Frisella, as municipal judge. He has been our judge here since, I should have looked that up, May. Come on up, Judge. I'm sorry. Yeah, joining us tonight, we have our judge, John Paul Frisella, and our court administrator, Sarah Runzer. If you come on up to the podium, everybody else can look at you and you can talk and they can hear. Come on, Sarah.
They'll see you in the camera now.
Mm-hmm. That.
And we'd like to note this is Sarah's second meeting in 16 years.
She'll be here tomorrow night
You
if you'd
actually
like to
told her
see to see the full show. Yes.
Oh.
It's all good. Okay. Judge, when did you join the city?
I believe my first court night was April of 18. Yes.
Very good.
Right, I don't have anything else here. It's just as a reappointment. It's for 2 years per the city charter. And so that would continue that on.
I would be happy to entertain a motion.
I just wanted to say, I recall that the judge joined us during a period where SB 5 was kind of a big deal, and I do appreciate your service all along and through that up to this point. So I just wanted to add that, but I don't have the motion handy, so
Okay.
Yep, I will bring it up.
I also want to make some remarks. It's a pleasure. I've popped into your courts, announced and observed and watched, and you are a very caring judge with a very soft demeanor, and you are out there to genuinely help the people that end up coming in front of our courts. You know what my day job is, and I continue to be proud of the fact that there has not been anyone that had to come into our court system and question how we do what we do. That is a huge mark on you, Judge, and it is much appreciated. And I'm honored that we will be reappointing you as our judge. You've done an amazing job. I would like to ask you later on if there's anything you'd like to see modified within your court system, but that's not for tonight. Have a great one. Thank you.
Thank you. And I credit Sarah for a lot of my success. I just want to put that up.
So I was going to wait till after the appointment to comments, but since people already started, I would like to just add that, I had the pleasure of working really closely with you about 5 years ago when we made some changes so that we could accommodate and really help people in the court system. And what Missy spoke about with your demeanor and your compassion, I think that you do an amazing job for us. And I think that I was going to say, you just credited Sarah, but I was going to say the two of you are a dynamic duo, and we're greatly appreciative of all the time and effort and what you bring to our court system. So thank you.
Thank you.
And now I will be happy to,
Could I just say something too?
yes.
Just like to remind you all that he was my guy.
Okay.
And I credit all of my success to Sarah as well.
Okay.
Okay, now.
I can do it now. I'm ready.
No, I'm gonna I thought Sidney had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I didn't definitely had a chance to watch you in action. But just listening to what Councilman Waldman had to say, that's really awesome. I hope that if I get arrested, it's here. But thank you very much for your service. I imagine that it can't be easy to be compassionate and also stern and follow the law at the same time. So thank you for all your endeavors. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Judge John Paul Frisella as municipal judge for the city of Olivette for a 2-year term beginning August 1st, 2023.
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 10, Bill 3008, an
Okay.
ordinance approving a first amendment to the second amended and restated redevelopment agreement related to the Gateway I-170 tax increment financing TIF redevelopment plan. Second reading.
I jumped right into the next item and I did not say congratulations. So congratulations, and we are thrilled that you'll be joining us again for 2 more years. So who's gonna tee this one up?
I sure will.
Okay,
As we talked a couple weeks ago, this is the first amendment to the second amended and restated redevelopment agreement related to the Gateway I-170 TIF, and it comes down to really two sections that were amended in this. And I'll go down to them specifically. One, it includes, it changes the tenant selection, and this is in section 2 in here. And the other one is with the timing of doing so. And I don't know what your comments were, Mayor, on here, but the 2 things that it changes, that it specifically alters the prohibition of what's labeled as a discount grocer per the redevelopment agreement, and specifically allows an Aldi to be built within the redevelopment area. And it also extends to the time that would be needed to for the application and completion of the construction of that Aldi grocery store. From there, I'll leave it up to you, to any questions. We do have the developer here tonight. If we would like to ask any questions of him, if you so choose, but I'll leave it at that.
do we need to close to go into for a second reading? Okay. Mr. Mann, we can do this as one vote for both, correct? Mr. Mann, we can do this as one vote for both?
I'm sorry.
We can do both items under one
Yes,
vote?
this is an ordinance amendment to the redevelopment agreement, and so anything encompassing inside of that ordinance is what changes. And I've highlighted here that final line that's added. It matches perfectly to the second amendment to this redevelopment agreement, and then it says, notwithstanding the foregoing, the city hereby agrees that an Aldi grocery store may be located within the redevelopment area, subject to the compliance of the city's planning and zoning regulations. And then in the next, I thought it was
number 5.
number 5 there.
Nope.
It's not, it gives until June of 2025 is the date that is it gives. Previously it was until I believe May of 24 next year.
And the extension is needed in order to actually go through the process with PCDC and the
In the
building and
construction
everything, the
process of
construction.
just this grocery store.
Okay, great. Can you go back up so we can see where the date is?
Right there.
I know it's here. I saw it when I was preparing.
June. Yeah, right here.
Oh.
I'm sorry. It was up above it. I thought it was below.
Okay.
Completion by
Okay,
June
so
of
AM
30th of 2025.
Great. Thank
Mhm.
you very much. Are there any questions from any of the council members? Okay,
I had one on the date, but it's
Sure.
clarified in here.
Sure.
okay. After conversation with a few people, I do want people to understand that the vote tonight is about allowing the Aldis, because we'd put in not to have a discount grocery store. And I think people are very excited about this, but also the placement will be different than what we originally talked about a grocery store. We had talked about it would back up. It's actually wasn't a grocery store, was originally where the apartment buildings were. And so therefore, the movement of the grocery store to the corner of Olive and Price, it's important that you know that and I'm saying this to Greg Yowitz, who's the developer who's coming forward. It's important that you know when you go through the PCDC process that we have faith in our commissioners that there's going to be some beautification of that corner, so it doesn't look like we're putting a big box on the corner there, because that's a really important corner as people come through our city or enter our city.
Yes, and Greg Yowitz, 6 Other Hill Lane. Actually, in the original plan, we had hoped to put a grocer where the apartments are.
Mhm.
In the amended redevelopment agreement you approved some number of years ago, and through PCDC, I believe, you approved as a body 2 optional site plans for the development of Olive Crossing. One of them was 2 lots separated on the corner, and the other one was one lot with a box on it that looks a lot like a grocery store. Because I always tried and have been trying to get a grocery store, which hypothetically speaking, we might be negotiating a lease about that I can neither confirm nor deny. But there's a reason you're voting tonight. So of course, that makes a lot of sense. And yes, I have spoken at length with the Director of Planning and Community Design about the expectation that not only he and the commission will have, and that all of you have, but that I have. Because said potential grocer will be doing the beautification on the corner as a layer on top of what we're doing with the sidewalks, which are part of the road projects. So we're fully anticipating a high level of landscaping and beautiful building design, which will require my consent before it can come before the planning commission for their review.
Well, we appreciate that because there is concern about the, when you have a grocery store, you have to have a loading dock, and we just don't want, an eyesore. We're excited to have a grocery store. People have been wanting one for a long, long time. So, we're looking forward to the process, but we hope that, like you said, it will be a beautiful addition to Olivette, especially at that corner.
Oh, yes. And as I said, PCDC's seen the concept of the loading.
She's
What
okay.
are you doing, buddy?
She's
Sit
good.
down.
She's good.
The concept of having that building oriented actually where it is. And the good news is the plan that we presented as part of the approval, the building shown in that plan was actually larger than what will get built. So we'll have more room for landscaping and buffer and all that good stuff. And with our residents in the Clover, who will be moving in very shortly, we want to make sure that that looks good there because they're going to live right there on the site. So yeah,
Right.
we're excited.
Yeah. So, little area to sit and to walk, some benches, we'll make it really nice. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
While we have
Greg.
Mr. Yawit,
I am here.
yeah,
Sorry,
I just,
for Carl.
could you elaborate on the apartment rental? I heard last night you're gonna have people moving really shortly up to a few apartments, and I was kind of surprised. I just thought I'd have you share that with the.
Sure. So subject to inspections and approvals by our Public Works Department, the Fire Department, county, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, everybody, if we pass inspection, we may have people moving in as soon as Saturday. We are not sure that that's going to pan out, and those people have already been provided. We were renting hotels for a couple of days just in case. Food vouchers, the works, because we believe in first-class service for our tenants. And so we've been in communication with the 3 that are scheduled for Saturday and Sunday, I believe, and said, here's the thing. And we may not be up to our standards. We may not be okay with it. I was there today for hours because there's an expectation we have of what the building needs to look like on the inside when the tenants move in and how much work should really still be going on. And so we may put them up for a couple of days, provide them food, hotel, all at no cost, while we get the building to the level, even if we pass Thursday or Friday. We may do it anyway because we want the experience of moving into this building. This is a over $55 million structure. I have an expectation of what people see when they come in, and I'm not happy yet. So we're getting there. But yes, it is theoretical possible we'll have new residents in Olivette by Saturday. I'd say the odds right now are, we'll see. The storm on the 1st, which caused a lot of issue with the trees, caused a lot of issues with the building too. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay,
Well, of course.
yes. Ms. Yawitz. Could you come up to the mic?
Come here, buddy. Wait, you have to wait till you get up here. Wait, come here. And
You
here's
have
what
to
you do. You have to say your name.
First, you have
and
to
where live.
identify yourself and tell us your address.
My name's Caitlin. I live 6 Haverhill Lane. I'm having a twin at 32. My sister was my twin.
Do you have a
Okay,
question? Or you just
and
want
what's
to
your
know you have a-
question?
Yes, 32.
What's your question?
What is support? What does a support person do?
What is a sport? She helps you.
Helps you.
Okay, listen up. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you, Caitlin. Okay, are there any other questions? We're good?
We're good.
Let's call for the vote.
I make a motion to approve Bill 3008 An ordinance approving a First Amendment to the Second Amendment and restated development agreement related to the Gateway I-170 tax increment financing redevelopment plan. Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes,
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
Motion passed by action of the Olivette City Council. Bill number 3008 becomes ordinance 2778.
Right. So we're looking forward to seeing you at PCDC soon. Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 11, Bill 3009, an ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a maintenance agreement with the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District for stormwater management facilities at the Centennial Greenway. Second reading.
Good evening, Mayor. This is Darren Mann, and I'll kick it off here a little bit. I think I can go solo a little bit. I needed help from Bruce last time, but I have more visuals, so I hope we can get there today. The city of Olivette is preparing to let out the Great Rivers Greenway Centennial Trail as it goes through Warson Park and through Indian Meadows Park. From Dealman Road through down into where it connects to Warson Park. Part of that, when the disturbances there require some MSD work and improvements in order for storm drainage management facilities. I do have a picture tonight, and I'm going to bring it up. And with that, it includes, for the most part, amended soils, which are soils that help drainage and make sure that it either slows or runs off slowly or soaks up a little bit more water than we would expect from compacted soil. And it also has a detention basin. And I'm going to go through a couple. I know this is about as good as we can get from the plans themselves, but on the left side here we have Warson Park, and the connector to Warson Park is done. And it ends up here in a stub if you follow back by the new community center on through. The old trail used to end right here, and you had to turn around and go back. And now you can go a little further. There's a culvert that was put in here, but it will connect here all the way through back behind the current restrooms and pavilion. Continue on the trail that we have today back through, and I'm going to go to the next page, which connects right here where we just saw, makes a little S and snake curve in order to get the proper elevations and grading. And then ends here on the east side of Dealman Road, and those improvements are being done or are done with the reconstruction of Dealman Road, or Bruce's eyes say are almost done. But in this section right here, I'm going to go to a new page. But this section right here, it creates like a bowl, and in there is some of the major. What's 16? Yep. So right here, you can see there's a big detention basin. And what this agreement does is says it's an agreement with Metropolitan Sewer District that the city will maintain this. It's on our land. It's required for their standards in order for runoff. And we have one right outside of this window right over here. Right outside the hole in the ground that you probably don't even notice. It has big rocks there, but it requires maintenance, annual maintenance, to make sure that no noxious weeds grow in it, and it's clear and it works and it operates. The other things that we're seeing here is in this gray area. These are a good example, and it says it right here, amended soils. In this plan, if you read through them, they're 6 and 12-inch amended soils, and you see them for the most part in wetter areas, lower areas, and areas right next to the disturbed areas of the trails, to make sure that the roadway or the trail area doesn't erode away. This also, again, holds the water a little bit longer before it goes in as a method to prevent downstream flooding. That's what the agreement is, that we will maintain this as required through MSD standards. They do check. And as Bruce said a couple weeks ago, we do reports on these to make sure the maintenance is completed. They do a better job, Bruce? Yes. Okay. Any more questions?
where is this gonna be? In Indian Meadows Park?
Sure. This is the end of Napoleon, right, the cul-de-sac in Napoleon. This is where the bigger detention, the bigger area, or the bigger feature is. If I were to, I'm going to go backwards. There's amended soils all along this trail. Anytime it's disturbed in general, thought it was right there, but I maybe,
Well, the concern was the rotting and the continued deterioration of that foundation of soils back in the beginning of looking at this process. So I'm concerned of, that things are shored up properly.
Mhm.
And I just want to get a better understanding of what land and what area this retaining system is going to be within this park.
sure, I will, the new improvements are roughly right in here.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, you can see where the stubs, the strange stubs right here
Mhm.
of the Centennial Greenway.
Mhm.
These match up with the improvements of the strange stubs that you see today. If you were to walk out with the new improvements at the from the parks, yeah, that were done by Hankins Construction. Those tie in. There was extensive coordination between the two engineering firms to make sure that the elevations and the features lined up right here. And so where the part where I was is right here. This is Napoleon Boulevard right here. The house directly behind. The trail snakes up in here again to maintain the proper grading for compliance. And then right in here it holds. And if I am not mistaken, this is the area that holds water extensively today. And it can't escape and it's hard to mow sometimes when it rains a lot.
In the park.
mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I really wanted other clarifications, what homes are around this?
So this is okay. I think the addresses are on here.
And we can
This
have this
is-
conversation later on. It's, I'm.
Sure,
not support
we can,
this,
I
but-
think, inside of one of these, the plan sets, it has I thought it had the survey markers. It may be on here's one. Has a city of 9615 Huron, which is, see, this is the edge coming around the river to Pear. We don't get to zoom in
Okay.
enough. We don't get to zoom in enough there to see the actual addresses.
9615 is the park address, so
Mhm.
I can follow up with you on that for clarification.
You bet.
Thanks.
I would suggest looking at the county property map, because it'll show it all the properties and you'll get an aerial and.
Alright. Bruce can't
It'll
help
be-
himself.
Give you
Come
a
on
bigger
up, bud.
picture than
Thank
each one of these.
It's behind, it follows really closely to the existing trails and the existing improvements that are brand new right now.
It is
Where
on
they're
the
at.
park side of the existing trail as it turns from the terminal and Napoleon behind those properties. So it's on the park side of it, so it's away from the properties in the historical boggy area.
And you can see, here's the layout of the streets that Mojave turns into La Jolla. This is the cut, this is where the new improvements are today. And the basin is here. Those amended soils follow the trail all the way through as they were disturbed to make sure that doesn't undercut the new concrete path. Sure. Any more questions?
Next item, please. Oh, we need a motion. I'm sorry.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Bill 3009, an ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a maintenance agreement with the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District for stormwater management facilities at the Centennial Greenway.
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
Motion passed by action of the Olivette City Council. Bill 3009 becomes ordinance 2779.
Next item, please.
Item number 12, Community Development Block Grant CDBG application fiscal years 2024 to 26.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. It is CDBG time again. Very interesting developments this year in that you might not see me for a public hearing for a few more years because the program administrator at St. Louis County had a light bulb idea and said, our communities are struggling to complete a project with their allocations. HUD has not increased the allocations based on population. And it would be more efficient if we could complete this application process in unison of 3 years of accumulation so that we save on paperwork, do more with less. And Brian Dufresne, who's the manager there, actually, we met about this last fall, and he said, would you be interested? And I said, absolutely, because it is it's a waiting game. We apply, we accumulate, we apply, we accumulate, we apply, we accumulate, and then Bruce gets busy and I'm hurrying up trying to spend all of our funds during the process. So this is a new multiple year allocation request, 3 years. The years are fiscal year 24, 25, 26, and we're always applying ahead. And then we're waiting for HUD to release the funds. We're waiting for St. Louis County to get the funds. Then we're getting the agreement. And then, the process is complete where we're in a position to put a project out to bid. So what we're asking for here is shown in the map, and it's a continuation like we do other times in trying to couple all of our funds together to do a larger project. And it is focused in our northeast quadrant, which is within the LMI low moderate income area shown on our map in light green. That map was readjusted about 3 years ago. It used to only really include northeast quadrant limited by Dealman. And then after the recent census prior to this one, they made an adjustment to include more in the northern section of Olivette. As part of the review process, planning process for the development on Irvington Rhyme, which is transitioned from Opus development to Balboa, our commissioners required a public sidewalk to be constructed at the frontage, Alice frontage of their property, including a continuation in public right-of-way to Hilltop. That segment is shown in orange. Last year, I applied for the mid-block crossing on the west side of Hilltop, and that is to receive the crosswalk on as you cross Hilltop. We call it a mid-block because it's not a T intersection. These are, of course, not our ideal, crosswalks, but you have to deal with the geometry that you're given. So we are continuing this application to include more work to the north, additional work at the southeast corner to include a diagonal ramp so that we might continue a sidewalk on the west side of Hilltop, south towards Chevy's. There's segmented pieces to the south, but it does not continue. We would like to see that all residents coming from between North Price and Hilltop are able to walk without having to necessarily cross across Hilltop. That is a vision item coming from our very astute planning and community development director. And also we are going to use application funding to continue the sidewalk at the Public Works building from the Balboa development limits west to what will be the Centennial Greenway and is now an existing sidewalk. Included in the project is engineering design. We do have a little bit, some grading issues that we need to deal with, specifically on the properties on the east side of Hilltop. There's some grades coming down. We have to redo driveway aprons and everything to get a compliant sidewalk to the north. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. And if none, we can go ahead and open up to a public hearing. I think we have a couple residents here who may or may not be interested.
Okay.
I have questions.
Councilmember Carl.
The first one is we're not having any right-of-way issues with this, are we?
So the nice thing is, if you look at the map and zoom in a little bit, you can see the 1159 parcel. The right-of-way at what used to be Irvington to Hilltop is actually 50 feet. The right-of-way, if you go from Irvington west to Alice, is 30 feet.
Okay.
The development project solved the right-of-way issue. Our planning department, required right-of-way dedication at replatting. and heck, the good news is I know the owner at 1200 North Price and probably one of the most amenable property owners in Olivet.
Right. I just wondered.
Terrible limb trouble, though.
Oh, boy.
Okay, the yellow along Hilltop, we're not gonna have any issue with that either.
We have 90 feet of width there, or
Okay.
60 feet
Okay.
over there. I have not done a survey. On occasion, we have found streets that are not centered in the
Oh,
right of
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
But my spidey sense is telling me we will be okay.
Okay, great. The other question is, if you could scroll down, do you know how they determined that area, the LMI?
It's based on reported income and probably some complicated statistical probability analysis of adjacent properties based on income. So it's a low, moderate income. It's a HUD calculation. I do not know the statistics, but that's probably something our interim finance manager would be very interested in to do a deep dive.
He's
Right,
not-
No such
I
person
asked that
exists,
question.
though.
But you're not an interim finance person.
No such person exists.
Keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, well, I was gonna just simply say that what I'm noting is that is a smaller area than the census tract, which is usually what we get pegged to. So
Okay.
I'm curious where we got this data.
Well, this
You
is
know, or they
straight from
got
HUD.
this data.
Yeah, it's straight from HUD. Okay, so county, assembles the information from HUD. They're the gatekeeper for all this, for the non-entitlement cities.
Okay,
And this is what's given to us. And I think it was 3 or 4 years ago that we got the updated map. I
Okay,
don't
so-
know how that coincides with census data received, analysis, generation of the maps and so on.
and I didn't really expect that you necessarily would. I just wanted to point out that I personally, and I think others have been interested in Olivette's data versus the tracks data. And
Mhm.
this seems to get it from somewhere, so.
Right. And I'm sure it's not easy. Yeah.
Okay.
Chairman Pro Tem Walden.
Thank you. My theory is this almost tracks entirely the mapping that the governor made for opportunity zones, and it's based upon LMI and poverty levels. So my theory is HUD might have looked at that. I really don't know.
It's the other
Well,
way.
and
It's
this,
the other way
yeah.
around. Oh,
This is
okay.
what was determining the
The
HUD
opportunity zone.
maps were what determined.
Okay.
it.
Okay.
that's it, no problem. But I mean, that's exactly why Opus and Balboa, I mean, why they targeted this area for
Absolutely.
the development to get the opportunity zone economic benefit.
Absolutely. If you could get back to the yellow section of the map on Hilltop. Does this side of Hilltop not have sidewalks already? Or are we going to be
It-
ripping out and
We
replacing?
have to rip out and replace.
Okay.
They are obsolete.
Right, okay. Sometimes you ask questions when you think you might remember
is
that there
very-
were
very-
sidewalks, but
It's a
yeah.
very fair question and we will proceed as funding allows.
Okay.
We structured these bid packages with lots of pieces.
Mhm.
That we can adjust quantities or we make a decision to supplement funds.
Are any of these funds federal dollars?
Well, they come straight from HUD.
So I'm kind of being a little,
Oh,
so the next question is, what is the width of these sidewalks going to be?
intended 5 feet,
Okay, thank you.
I
where
believe that there-
geometry allows, I mean, or topography allows. There are certain places that
I believe that we made a decision that all our sidewalks moving forth.
we,
forthcoming would
it's-
be
it's-
a
so
minimum of 5 feet,
within, that is,
If
of
they-
course, within allowable right of way, that is ideal. And I think it just takes observing people walking to know that it is really better.
Right.
But we really do get challenged with our legacy streets. It is just their right of ways rather.
I know you mentioned this, but I don't know that it sunk in. So starting at 1162 and 1159, going towards Olive, those will be a different project to add. a
Yeah,
sidewalk there?
crunching the numbers,
Mhm.
this is an attainable piece.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm just concerned with Olive Crossing going in and having Price Crossing, like
Yeah.
where, so if they live in Hilltop area, you could come down Hilltop, walk across to Alice and come up Price to cross. If they want to get,
okay,
if
I'm
they
sorry.
want to get from the north side of Olive in Hilltop area
Uh-huh,
safely to our new Aldi or
yeah, so sure.
Paris
sure.
Baguette,
Yeah,
how
I
are they
mean,
gonna
so
get
if,
there?
if you were mobility challenged, the best path would be to go across to Alice, right?
Okay.
Because we'll have that all compliant and then we'll have the new, actually sidewalks are compliant now all the way down to Olive from Public Works.
Okay.
Save some utility cuts that are still open, but yeah, it's
But
all.
are there sidewalks that exist from 1162 to Olive that they can cross with that light?
Yes, you
currently?
you can get down there. Absolutely. It's a legacy sidewalk,
Okay.
but it is not, it is not modern compliant.
Okay.
It in there. And we have had new pocket homes go in there,
Mhm.
and we've had those they have replaced sidewalks when they went in at those houses. But again, those are in pockets, right?
Correct.
It's a piecemeal.
Right, thank you. We'll close, if there aren't any other questions from council members, I will close, and we'll go into a public hearing. If there's any questions from anyone in the audience. Oh, thank you, Mr. Yowitz. Please come on up.
As what may be the only resident currently in attendance, other than my daughter, Greg Yowitz, 6 Heather Hill Lane. I'd just like to say that I think this application is a great idea. I think it providing mobility and sidewalks from this portion of our community to the south, where there are going to be lots of new services, not the least of which will be potentially a grocery store, wine merchant, restaurants, all that kind of stuff, and give the residents that are going to live in Olive Crossing the ability to walk north into the subdivisions and enjoy the wonderful neighborhoods of our city is a fabulous idea. And that as the 100% members of the citizen public that's here, we endorse this.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there,
I think that's the only public comment I've ever had
Yeah.
during
Okay.
a community development
Okay.
block grant hearing.
actually, we have another resident who is on Zoom and that lives in the area, and I don't know if you want to be brought over to say any comments. If you do, you just have to put your hand up on your Zoom and we'll bring you over. No hand, okay. We will move forward. We'll close this portion of the meeting and I will be happy to entertain a motion.
This is Worst Street? Or no?
Great. Oh, right. Yeah, he's got his handy dandy computer.
I got it. Oh, okay. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the FY 2024 to 26 Community Development Block Grant Fund application to make sidewalk and ADA improvements along Alice Place and Hilltop Avenue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl.
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Next item, please.
Item 13, Bill 3010, an ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission cost share agreement for certain Olive Boulevard intersection improvements. First reading.
Great. Welcome back.
Good evening. We were in here earlier this spring, actually on a couple of occasions to give everybody updates of our well, it's been an endeavor, right, to improve intersections at Olive Boulevard, at North Price, and especially what was noted as an opportunity for improvement from the Northeast Quadrant traffic study. At the second meeting, we shared the design plans of what the concept study was that was submitted to MoDOT and actually to CMAQ. Both applications were completed and submitted early this year in January and February. We knew that the CMAQ application was going to be a reach, to say the least, and as suspected, the East-West Gateway did not approve it, but I still think it was worthwhile. We would have had quadruple funding on a project which is a unicorn in the public sector. But we'll take 3 on this. So what we're asking for right here is the ordinance to or approval for the ordinance to make the cost share agreement with MoDOT. And I just want to explain that the portion of the project that is eligible for MoDOT participation covered in this is only within the MoDOT right away, at Olive Boulevard, and absolute necessity components make the improvements on the right of way work. Okay. Any improvements on Dealman Industrial or North Price beyond the limits towards Dealman Industrial Park, those are on the city. And those are what we're using ARPA and the submittal from Balboa Development Group as required by their traffic plan. That is what we're using there in addition to capital improvement funds. So this is an agreement with MoDOT for the cost share as outlined in the table for improvements on Olive Boulevard connected to our roads.
Any questions on this one?
Forgive me here. Go over this map a little bit, Bruce. Get me reacclimated. I don't have the greatest navigation
Absolutely.
skills.
No worries.
Well, this is all. It's usually this way.
Yes, and
usually like-
I cannot take credit for it. And in my haste to get this done, I should have linked to our previous submittal earlier this year when
I do have it up here if you want.
yeah, if you do,
Okay.
because that'll make it. There you go. Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you.
Much better. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, I got it now.
Okay. So if we remember, at each intersection, we're going to be talking with two parcels, one on the east, one on the west. We will have limited right-of-way acquisition at Dealman Industrial and at CVS. We are going to be negotiating for a complete parcel acquisition at the southwest corner that will improve circulation and will remove really a functionally obsolete design that is just really a public safety hazard. And I'm glad we haven't had any issues there.
The only thing I'll add here is if we tie some of these things together, is we see some of this, the 631 that's listed in here. And then the roughly 1.6 that was here. When we talked, this was from, I think, May 9th. We estimated a 1.7 million. We see the 631 cost share here. And this is the 631 that we're seeing right here. The other funding sources, this is in the CIP number 41. It gets mashed all together with a bunch of grants, and that includes the ARPA money, but this is the other amounts besides the ARPA money allocation that we talked about again back in May. So this is how it ties together from what we've talked about during our budgeting. That's again approved in with CIP number 41 for this year.
And just if you had any questions on timeline, this is a multi-year process. What we used to think about with any, a federal project, an SDP, TAP, CMAQ, any of this project, we used to think in terms of 3 years. Now we're talking in terms of 4 years. Our goal with this is to move through the process of consultant. We have to use the qualifications-based selection process for our consultant. And then as early as possible, we will seek, and we have had pre-discussions right away, authorization to negotiate. And it's our goal to try to time this, especially with the full parcel acquisition, at a time that is most beneficial to our business, to our, property owner. We're not moving people out. We're not mid-cycle. We need this to be at an amenable time so it's as much of a win as possible. The last thing we want to do is have to go through a condemnation process or jeopardize our funding at all. We need this to be a by the book uniform act process, and we need to start as early as possible for opportune timing of all parties.
Great. Are there any other questions?
No.
Okay.
We just a first reading tonight. So if you thought that was a short explanation, wait till 2 weeks.
I won't have any questions in 2 weeks, but the map and bringing the other map over, it was
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah, it took
Yes.
that one. The
Yeah.
world is upside down.
Yeah, that was.
Okay, so we will revisit this on August 8th. Great. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Next item, please.
Item number 14, request for approval to enter into a 3-year contract with Flock Safety for the lease of license plate reader cameras, LPR.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council.
I can.
Good evening.
So Flock is in front of you again, once more. I think we have a lot of stuff hashed out. This, as you remember, we went over just a request to just look into this and consider this earlier in the year. So the agenda item tonight is for the lease of 6 Flock cameras, LPR readers. And again, I'm just going to go over some of the facts that we discussed earlier in the year about our major increase in the region with auto thefts, car break-ins last year in Olivette alone. We saw 52 vehicle thefts and 119 vehicle break-ins, which is an astronomical increase from years previous. We have been working with a regional task force, and some of those numbers have come down. So it has improved, but not just because of the vehicle thefts and vehicle break-ins are we seeking these cameras. They're being used constantly. It's probably hard for you guys to pull up the news and see a case where a suspect was apprehended without the use of LPRs anymore. We actually have an officer on major case squad call out right now, and they were able to apprehend a suspect for murder first degree within less than 24 hours, also with the help of Flock cameras. So again, they're proving to be extremely beneficial every day for us. Just some things to keep in mind, some just basic facts about Flock. Again, these vehicles we're able to track these in real time. If a vehicle has been stolen or is being used in the commission of a crime, we are able to track them through Flock cameras in real time, making it easier and safer for everybody to have the suspect apprehension. Also, just in general, Flock cameras in areas have been proven to reduce crime just for the fact that they're there. People know that their cameras are being picked up. There's actually just one that was installed in the front of my neighborhood, which I was happy to see there. I didn't know that we were getting one, but hey, it's there. So I was very happy to see that. Again, they're also solar powered, so there's no ongoing energy cost to the city. And I know we all are about going green, so the more solar, the better. Our carport is going to be solar, so police department is trying to do our share. And I think one of the biggest things to keep in mind also is what Flock technology is not used for. It is not used for constant surveillance of vehicles. It's not used for human surveillance of any kind. It is specifically used to locate cars that are being used in the commission of crimes, and also for stolen vehicles. And I think that is a big factor why there's a lot of hesitation with Flock, is because of that concern, that big brother concern. So it's important to know that that's not what it's being used for. And I don't know about any of my officers, but that sounds like very boring data to continue to look at all day. So I don't think that we have that fear at all. So again, the recommended action tonight is for the motion for the council to approve the city of Olivette enter into a 3-year agreement with.
Councilor, I do have an amended one. There's an amended motion in front of you, and I have an even more amended one that whoever would like to read it. I would.
What's the 6?
That's right. And this is
Yeah.
6, and that's correct. That's what's in our budget, and that's what was proposed and discussed during the budgeting process. Yep, that's right. So if we open up to anything, I do have the latest and greatest handwritten
Okay.
motion if anyone would like to read it when we get there. Whoever would like to read it.
I'll read it.
All right, but if we have any questions and discussion first.
But before you read it, do you want to explain why the change?
Well,
Yeah.
It's really simple. I haven't read the contract yet, so I want you to approve it, but subject to my review and approval. And that's what the change is.
Okay, very good. So I understand there is another question in hand. Before we take a motion. Council member, before we take the motion, I know you wanted to bring something up in discussion.
Yes, Chief, I looked at the map and where the proposed areas where the Flock cameras where you'd like to have them throughout the city. And I agree with everything that you have there. Personally, I would like to see you be able to have 8 cameras, add 2 more. But I know that we're gonna have to have the contract reviewed by the city attorney. And then also, we're gonna have to go back to the budget process to get this approved through the budget. But I want to put that before the city council, that we can do that. I would propose, you're the chief, but I propose, I'd like to be covered in different areas, like from the, our eastern border of U City, like on Old Bonham and maybe on Price. But I would also like for you to let us know. I know that Creve Coeur has flock cameras. I know that Ladue does. I know Overland does. I would like to know if we're working strategically with these other departments. So we covered some of their traffic that comes from like Ladue to Olivette, from Creve Coeur to Olivette, and vice versa. So those are my concerns and the things that I would like to do. And I'd like to see us open up the budget in the future. And see if it's possible to have 8 cameras instead of 6. And then maybe revisit this in 3 years. And if we need more or we need less, we could revisit that in a couple of years. But like you said, major K squad was activated in Berkeley. By the time I got up this morning, they were sitting on the suspect's house in Ferguson. And it was because of the flock cameras. So, I mean, we use them all over the metropolitan area. So, does anybody else have any questions?
I would like to hear the chief response to your comment.
Sure. So, I mean, we'll take however many flock cameras you guys want to give us. If you want to give us 20, we'll take all those. So I'm not opposed to more flock cameras. When we did the initial research for the 6, this is the areas that we pinpointed as having the heaviest amount of traffic in and out of Olivette, and also to cover areas of when we see vehicles fleeing from us, typically where they go, they're going to 170 or north on Dealman 9 times out of 10. So that's kind of, some of how those locations were picked. And we have been working with our partners, neighboring partners. For instance, you will see there is a flock camera just on the other side of Warson, and that's in Creve Coeur, but their camera wouldn't pick up vehicles coming into Olivette necessarily off Warson. So some of those may be close, but depending on, the logistics and how they're set up, they're not going to pick up certain lanes of traffic. But as you know, I was going to call you chief, but Councilmember Knox, we have access to, in the flock system, we will have access to all flock cameras throughout the United States. So it's when we get these cameras, it's not like we will only be able to view 6 cameras. If, for instance, to give an example, if we were looking for a certain license plate, we will be able to see if that license plate has been picked up anywhere in the United States on a flock camera, which is another way that crimes are being solved, especially when you have people fleeing out of state and things like that. So just some notes there, but I'm always open to more cameras.
So one of Councilmember Knox's questions, I know you want to go too. Go ahead. No, you go. One of Councilmember Knox's questions that I didn't hear the response to was, are we working in coordination with the other communities like? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
I have a suggestion. Everybody's ready. I would simply suggest that maybe, given our attorney time to read the agreement, that we go ahead and approve the 6 cameras and follow up with an approval for 2 more on an amended contract or something. I don't know. I'll throw that out there, but for other people to decide which is best. But
think that's a good idea.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman.
I don't disagree. That was my thought as well. The question I had was, so are we going to move forward with 6 and have a conversation for the other 2 and a potential budget amendment? Or are we going to be waiting until we get all 8? I don't want to wait for 8.
No.
So I was a little bit confused by that, okay? And I want to give you what you need, even though 3 years ago, when this was brought up by someone that used to have a title of chief, I felt it was, there were some of us on this council that felt that was Big Brother. But as time continues, and had we had this in 1987, maybe my dad's murder would be solved. So my question really is, what is the view on the cameras? I mean, Darren had some pictures, but those identified as Google. What is the camera seeing? Just license plates, or they're seeing the whole street? I just want to understand that visual.
I'm sure, and I can provide, I don't have any of those pictures with me tonight, but I can certainly provide them to you.
Sure.
But basically what they're looking at is they're looking at that vehicle as a whole. The technology is to pick up back license plates, and they will pick up though, obscurities on a vehicle, colors, things like that. And then that plate, the technology is not developed to pick up faces, for instance. So also, it should cover 2 lanes of traffic. Sometimes it can cover more, just again, kind of depending on camera angle, where it's sitting, time of day, things like that. But your focus on that camera, what those are picking up is that rear kind of picture of a vehicle.
Okay. I'd like to, it's curiosity for me, nothing more.
Sure.
But
Happy to-
curiosity.
I'm happy to
And
do that
and
for
I
you.
support what you feel is needed for the public safety of our community. I'm very glad to see that it is going out the boundary of Dillman Road, because they do tend to go out Dillman over onto Page as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I know that one of my questions with Mr. Mann was if there's a break in the cost, the more you buy, and he said that's not part of the price. That the price is the price. It's a hard cut, and we can't negotiate like, oh, if we go from 6 to 8, that it will get a better rate. So I think knowing that, I think with the amendment, Mr. Martin will have to advise us, can we do it with they're discussing it, and then we'll get some advice. Do we pass the 6 and then?
Yeah, I would suggest we go with the 6 today. If we need them in the future, the 3-year lease option was what we chose.
Okay.
If I remember right, they do 2 and 4. I'm sure, like I said, they'll take our business and co-term them.
Okay.
We need to do this in 6 months, in a year. We can do 2-year agreements in 1 year to get to the 8. We can, if we need to slow down this contract process to install, and we can do that then. We'll explore those options. The funding is there. We just did not discuss it during our budgeting time.
Right.
And so the budget appropriations are not there currently.
For what we're asking for now?
These are, the 6 are.
Right. The 6 are the 8.
Anything more than that. is
Okay,
not.
you're right. I don't want to slow things down. Me personally, I don't want to slow things down. If you got to come back in a year and we prove another 2 goes into, hey, there's no change in cost, we know that we're ready for the budget of it.
And if you need to come back in 6 months, and we will know further about where we are in the budget, since we're only a month in, or a few months, we'll have an idea of how we're doing.
Yeah, Darren can figure it out.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, then I will entertain a motion. Then,
Go ahead, Rick.
okay, Councilmember
Yeah.
Knox,
I make a motion to authorize the interim city manager to enter into a 3-year contract with Block Safety for the lease of 6 license plate reader cameras not to exceed $55,400, subject to the approval of the review by the city attorney.
Second.
call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil,
Yes,
motion is passed.
thank you.
Thank you.
Council, just so you know, I think that contract is structured for $19,000 initially in the first year and 18,000 in years 2 and 3. And it ends up to be the 55,400.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item, please.
Item number 15, approval of the slate of appointees to fill board and commission vacancies beginning August 1st, 2023, with terms as noted.
Good evening once again, Mayor and Council. In front of us, we have some reappointments of to fill our boards as per the council procedures. These appointments happened at the last meeting in July for it to begin August of 2023. There are no new members inside of this slate of candidates. These are the reappointments, and these are true reappointments of existing members on these boards. We can do this again, approval of the slate of appointees rather than doing them individually. You bet.
I see a spelling error though,
Let's see it.
on Ellen Shapiro. It's E-N.
Oh, yep.
And I also believe she's an SCH.
Luckily, we can do this through a slate of the names themselves rather than the spelling of their names.
Yeah, she's a SCH API.
So when she gets her letter, make sure she's spelled right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Madam Mayor, you know, if there is no questions with regards to anything other than the spelling, which you and I are very keen on, our parents must have ingrained that in us.
It was Mrs. Walker at Central School.
I would like to recommend approval that we do this by slate, you know, approval of the slate of appointees to fill the board and commission vacancies that are so noted in the list beginning August 1st, 2023, with terms that are noted.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes,
Motion is passed.
thank you. Next item.
Item 16, hearing from citizens, part 2.
I believe that we have somebody on Zoom who, if you raise your hand and would like to be brought over to speak, you can be brought over to speak. Otherwise, everyone's good. He wants to know when we're eating cupcakes? Okay, okay, next item.
Item 17, review and approval of minutes.
I did not see any errors. Did
I saw none either.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the city council minutes from July 11th, 2023.
Second,
As written, seconded.
thank you. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes,
Motion is passed.
next item.
Item 18, city attorney's report.
Mayor and council, GRG is on the docket for this evening. I suppose you're aware that GRG is moving forward and entering into an agreement with the Union Pacific Railroad for the transfer of the Union Pacific properties in the Price Corridor to GRG for purposes of Great Rivers Greenway. And as part of that, they haven't gotten there yet, but as part of that, they have asked for Union Pacific has asked for a release from the city. Excuse me, that's not what they've done. There are two different parcels in this deal. The UP owns part of it. The other part, they have an easement over it. The part that they have an easement over is right next to Public Works. So what the UP is going to do is going to release that easement in favor of the city. The city is going to sign that release agreement. And I've looked at the agreement. We can talk about it when it comes up, but I've drafted a resolution. GRG is on board with the resolution. Hopefully it's self-explanatory, and I think it'll be on the agenda for next week. Not next week, 2 weeks from now.
The 8th.
So that's coming up. That doesn't mean that they're going to close on this deal anytime soon. They still have to go through the abandonment process with the federal government, the Surface and Transportation Board up in Washington, DC. And that's going to take a little while, but everything is looking really positive and they just want to get all their ducks in a row. The resolution, as I'll explain in 2 weeks, It allows the city manager to execute that release when the time comes in her discretion. So that's where we are.
Great.
And I just want to let you know that was coming.
Okay. And no,
That's 23 years coming.
Yeah, I know.
and no closed session?
Well, we could always have a closed session.
No, we're gonna eat cupcakes.
Don't invite Bruce in.
No closed session, thank you.
With that, I would be happy to entertain a motion.
Man, I don't know how to do this without coming out of the pack. I move to adjourn.
Thank you. And once again, congratulations to Denise.
Denise.